o'clock in the morning in the gym, why not? Look at the crossover. Let me go get him. If he doesn't get fouled.
One puts on the brake. Kuzma goes by, kisses it off the glass.
If you thought those two plays were shocking, just keep watching to see some other insanely shocking plays from Chris Paul's legendary career. We'll start it all off with Chris Paul going against his former team, the Houston Rockets. He just goes all out here. It looks like the Rockets were going to trap him between two players after he came around a screen, but he did something completely unexpected. He bounced the ball between the legs of a defender and then cruised his way to the rim for a nice little floater to cap it off.
Kind of let the guys start to lick their wounds and get ready for the next one.
And if you thought that last one looked crazy, then just wait until you see this next one. Once again, it was against the Rockets. Maybe this is just his special move against them. Anyway, Paul sized up his defender and quickly bounced it between his legs out on the perimeter and rose up near the free throw line and knocked down the mid-range jumper with ease.
Takes it. Don't do that. Don't. Look. Get him to turn.
Oh, gee, look at the young fella. He said, oh my. No, he didn't.
And honestly, we just can't get enough of this kind of play. In this one, Paul's back in the Rockets uniform and he nutmegs another defender. It really does have something to do with the Rockets jersey, I think. This time it was against the Lakers though, and the second he pulled the move off on Ivica Zubac, everybody went crazy. He made it look so effortless as he strutted to the rim for 2 easy points.
How do you normally say salt of the earth?
Well, he's more than that.
Oh, no, he didn't. What a play by Paul!
In this next one, CP3 starts to whip out some flashy dribble moves that catch everybody on the experienced San Antonio Spurs roster off guard. Paul was leading the fast break out front for the Rockets, and he dribbles it between his legs to get a few defenders out of position before flying to the rim and dishing it off to Clint Capella in the paint, who winds up finishing it off with a layup. It just looked like Paul had the ball on a string here.
Chris Paul was going to be throwing lob passes for the Rockets this year. Capella started licking his chops. And on cue, Paul to Capella for the highlight.
Moving on to our next play, Paul shocks everybody on the Utah Jazz when he came up big time with just 30 seconds left in the game. Paul and the Clippers were up by 1 point here, and he decided to take the game into his own hands, as superstars tend to do. Paul worked his defender left and right and bullied him with some of the moves he pulled out. After crossing him over and creating more than enough space, Paul buried the mid-range and silenced the Jazz crowd. The announcer then said it best. The team badly needed a bucket, and the smallest dude on the floor stepped up to deliver.
We'll run some time. Hayward, step back jumper, 15-footer, got it. What a move.
And really, going all the way back to his days on the New Orleans Hornets, Paul would always deliver in the clutch. Paul and the Hornets here were up by 3 points with 26 seconds left, and CP3 wanted to make sure there wasn't any chance for the Pistons to come back into this one. He attacked the defense and pulled out some phenomenal dribbling moves before crossing someone over and slashing to the rim for a huge layup with a taller defender trailing close behind.
Paul with the dribble. Paul with the drive.
And I had a short conversation with assistant coach Gerald Walker. And what was he talking about? This guy right here.
And speaking of behind, Paul used a behind-the-back pass to set up Capella during this next shocking play. Paul started a casual pick and roll like he and Capella had run countless times before, but this time he threw the Sacramento Kings off guard. He didn't get more than 2 dribbles past the screen before flipping a bounce pass behind his back to set up Capella for the dunk. There just was no one on the Kings who saw that one coming.
Didn't have the shot he wanted, gives it up to CP3. Oh, great behind the back pass and Capella!
And on this next one, nobody in the arena saw this one coming. Paul and the Thunder were trailing the Golden State Warriors by 9 points with just a few seconds left until the first half ended. Paul was dribbling up the floor and thought, hey, why not? So he chucked up a deep half-court shot that arced high up into the air and swished in to cut the lead down to 6. There couldn't have been a better shot than that. Plus, we all know that CP3 isn't known to be a consistently knockdown three-point shooter, which just adds another layer to how shocking this play really was for the Warriors. I'm telling you guys, don't mess with the point god.
Half time here with under 5 seconds. Paul double-teamed, heaves it from half court. Oh, and he got it to go!
Now guys, this next play was so nasty that we might need some parental discretion here and maybe look away from your screen if you're not ready for it. Paul took Domantas Sabonis to school when he attacked him with these dribble moves, just easily cruising around Sabonis and another defender to hit a beautiful little jumper close to the rim for Phoenix to extend their lead to nearly 20 points with 5 minutes left in the game.
Rebounds and the steals. Oh, don't do that.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, that is not fair.
Oh, my goodness.
Like,
Appreciate this. Man.
There wasn't quite as much time left in the game in this next clip, and Paul and the Hornets found a way to deliver during the big moments. Paul drove to the rim and had just one man left to beat. Unfortunately, that defender thought he could play aggressive and swipe the ball away before he got too close. That was a brutal mistake, though, and Paul sidestepped him flawlessly to just get right to the rim and extend their team's late-game lead. I mean, so much for trusting your help defense. Paul made quick work of that.
They said that you could say you're going to free up cash, but you can't say who you freed it up for. Oh, my goodness!
Drexler, I had nothing to do with that. Oh, what a great thing!
And that's just what he seems to do to a lot of different players, though. Here, we can see him utilize a screen to get past one guy before completely crossing over the other defender on the other side of the screen to fly past and get to the cup. The center didn't even know what happened to him here. He just saw a blur, and suddenly there's 2 more points on the board.
It was a 108-79 win, but Chris Paul was hurt. Didn't then the lay-in for Paul for the finish.
This clip was borderline embarrassing. Paul took on Rudy Gobert in the mid-range and pump faked to try and get him off his feet. When that didn't really work the way he was expecting, Paul tried a new strategy. He pump faked the ball behind Gobert's back, causing him to completely turn around while CP3 just sat back and took an easy jumper. When the camera zoomed in, you could even see that Paul was surprised over how nasty this move was.
I was keeping Rudy Gobert in that high pick and roll as well, too.
Paul looking to get it to Adams. Instead, takes it himself.
And this next move was pretty nice, too. Paul and the Suns saw a deep pass get sent out, and Paul kept up with it and took charge of the fast break, with the defender trying to keep up. Paul didn't even take one step with it before doing a behind-the-back bounce pass to a streaking Mikal Bridges, who rose up and slammed it down with a defender just sitting and staring at him. That pass had just pulled him way out of position, and there was nothing he could do about it.
Bernard in double figures already. Chris Paul with a quick hand. Generates a steal, drops it off with a streaking Mikal Bridges, who rumbles to the rim.
Now, who doesn't love a good superstar matchup, right? Especially when it has a really shocking result. Here, Paul took on James Harden with just under 20 seconds left in the playoff game during the NBA bubble. The Rockets were up by 2 points, so Paul badly needed a bucket to avoid falling behind 3-0 in the series. Chris easily swept past Harden on the perimeter and drew in another 2 Houston defenders to help defend the paint. That's when he delivered a sweet cross pass to a teammate who was standing all alone in the corner, who rose up and knocked it down to give them a 1-point lead. Honestly, I'm not even sure how he got that pass off, but I'm sure the Rockets were just as shocked when it happened.
Harden switches on to him. Paul gets to the bucket for the lead. Gilgeous-Alexander got it!
And on this play, this Los Angeles Lakers player was shocked also. Paul hit a crossover straight away, then followed it up with a between-the-legs crossover the other way, and blew past him so much that he just tapped him on the back and watched while he scored 2 easy points. Who would have expected a combination like that on the perimeter from Paul? I know that dude definitely didn't, and the truth is, people underestimate him far too often, and it results in plays like this.
Block out these perimeter guys who are crashing from the three-point line.
Oh, Chris Paul, what a...
Watch as Paul leads a fast break all the way down the court with Vince Carter standing in front of him. Carter chose to just stand back and use his body to push him to the baseline, but Paul didn't get easily fooled by that positioning. He instead used Carter's body to spin around him and hit a nice layup to cap the play off with little defense around him.
Hosier just came on and handled by Paul. He's on the move against Carter, spinning his way and
Alright guys, finally we leave you with this play of Paul sizing up a Lakers center while he was still playing for the Hornets. In a heated playoff series with his team down by a game, Paul hit a flurry of moves including 2 crossovers, a pump fake, and another small step back to finish the play with a mid-range jumper to extend his team's lead to 3 points in the third quarter. We see it all the time, but the taller center just couldn't stay with the smaller Paul at all here, even doing a full 360 in the process. Now that one was definitely shocking.
Against the big man's on the little man. Well, Paul, hands, clock at 5. Little take off!